Hello my friends and welcome back. Mr. A here today, back with another circuit playground video from Mr. Hart. Today Mr. Hart's going to help us create an alarm that goes off when the circuit playground senses a loud noise or a lot of light.
Stop thief!
As a reminder, the Computers Are Fun Circuit Playground series of videos are intended for a little older student, typically grades 3 through 8. For our younger students, or just students of any age, we suggest checking out the Computers Are Fun Puppet series. In the description below will be a link to all of the resources needed to go through this activity with Mr. Hart.
Hello, I'm Mr. Hart, and this is another episode of Recess at the Circuit Playground. Today we are going to be making a thief alarm. Before we get there, let's go ahead and say that you can get to the document that I'm showing at this address, or by scanning this QR code. Also, we will be working today at makecode.adafruit.com, and we will get started. So today, let me see if I can pull up the correct one. There it is. So we are going to, just using the inputs and outputs like we talked about last time, try to come up with some alarm using our device that responds to a loud noise, as if someone maybe broke through a door, or opened a lot of light, as if they've opened a box that they weren't supposed to. Now, we are talking about advanced input and output, and that's because last time we really just talked about buttons, right? We pressed A, we pressed B, that's all we did. There's a lot more input, and these amazing little devices, the Circuit Playground, can do a whole lot. So let me walk you through why this is a fun scenario. Imagine that you have something very special sitting out on your table, and you're afraid someone's going to come in and take it. Are you going to just put up a sign that says, "Dear, please press the button on the device to set off an alarm. Thank you"? Well, no, of course not, because no thief would do that. That's kind of goes against what they're doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to make it a little bit smarter. But what we're going to deal with is that in that scenario, the bad guy would have to hit a button for us that they're not going to want to do. We want to use the environment, other signals, other inputs to make something happen. Okay, so we're going to come to our MakeCode website. This is not what we're doing, so we're going to make a new project. You can use the one from before, but it's easier to have a brand new one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about inputting. Now, this time, remember, outputting, the thing that the machine does in response to our input, isn't that important as far as lights go. So we may not be using the blue bar much. We will be using new inputs. So let's click on input and just look over the list. On button A clicked, on shake, on loud sound, on light dark. So we're going to make it so that if someone was to come in and break through a door or window, hence making a loud noise, that's going to be one of our inputs. Or if maybe it's in a box that they open, filling it with light. Now, a couple of things that I need to show you. The moment that we add these new buttons, these little rings appear. And that's because this one simulates loud sound, starting at 0 at the bottom for no, all the way to 255. Now, 255 is, as far as the Circuit Playground goes, is kind of like the max. So for right now, 0 means none. 255 is the maximum, the greatest amount of that. Same thing for light. 128 is halfway, so normal light. 0 is complete dark. 255 is very bright light. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to reset this. Now, we are not going to need our forever block, so we can click it, drag and get rid of it. We just need these two to start off with. So we're going to start with playing what would happen if your Circuit Playground was, if someone makes a real loud sound, you'll probably hear that, hence the alarm, but we'll just test something. We'll go to music, because it says music, but it really means sounds. And we have play sound on loud sound plus that. Now, I'm going to show you a trick that we can use in coding. I can simulate what that would happen by making here. So I can test just by pressing my A button. Excellent. And if that was really loud, I apologize. I can click these little down arrows to try other things. In this case, we're going to go with magic wand. Okay, so I can test that. I can play on loud sound, play this sound. So come to my little ring, raise it, and it plays. Now, if my alarm goes off only once, that's not really helpful. So what we're really going to want to do is pick something different. Now that was play a sound, and it did. Played it one time. We're going to want loop sound. So we're going to take loop sound and we'll test it. Now, that's a wonderful alarm. That would annoy everyone around you. So make sure that while we're doing this, your parents or guardians know what's happening. So we're going to move this, but instead of loop sound bading, we're going to go with siren because that's what we really want. And we don't want a dark light because if it's in a box, it's already dark. We're going to want it bright. So let's just look at this. Come here. Let it reload. Oh, there we go. And we're going to turn the light up. That is an alarm. Reset that. Now, right now, if we play a loud sound, we're going to play the magic wand sound once. Or if there's a bright light, we're going to loop the sound siren, which makes a better alarm. So we're going to get rid of this block, throw it away, right click to duplicate this one, and change a different one. Now, I have a question though. If an alarm is going off because of a loud sound, you might have already heard that, or you're going to need to come back later. But let's maybe try something different. If there's a loud sound, maybe you can't hear where you are, but you can see. So let's get rid of that and change to a light. We're going to pick an animation. Now, animation means make this light, then change this light, then change this light, then change this light. On loud sound, let's wait for it for 2 seconds. Refresh. Do you see how that when I raised up the sound bar, it started animating, started spinning? That's what we want, except we don't want 2 seconds, and these are milliseconds. So for every second you want, you have to have 3 zeros behind it. We're going to add another for 20 seconds. So if a loud sound happens, we're going to see the lights go round. And if it gets bright, we're going to hear the siren. What happens if both happen? Well, let's find out. So that simulates loud sound. And that's brightness. And they're both going. Now the animation will eventually stop. The sound won't. We're going to stop, reset our simulation. Okay, so one thing that I think is also useful for testing is I have this unbutton A block. I'm going to add a wonderful stop all sounds. So if I want to test, I can, right, sound's going off again, and I can always click on the A button to make the sound stop before I reset. Okay, so remember, inputs and outputs aren't always just things that we type or touch. Sometimes it can be things that we can, other senses, like the light sensor, sound. It can actually, on those little outer rings, those can be touched as sensors. There's a little switch in the middle. This thing's interesting because it can feel which way it's tilting. There's a whole lot of things that can be sensed as an input and then therefore programmed to be an output. Anyway, that's Mr. Hart for Recess at the Circuit Playground. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mr. Hart. That thief alarm is pretty neat. Parents and guardians, again, if you want to order your child a circuit playground, I've dropped a link to one vendor in the resources section below, but there are many different vendors. Well, that's all the time we have for today, friends. We will see you real soon on our next episode of Computers Are Fun. See you real soon.